Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to the next edition of UNC, which is Unifying the Nomadic Community. Just want to expound on what nomadic is. Nomadic is living the life of a nomad, wandering. How many of us as black men are just wandering in our community and society with no type of purpose, just aimlessly? We're using this platform here called UNC to bring awareness to you and give you strategic instruments and tools and resources to change that narrative of your life. My name is Grayson. I am your neighborhood SAYS, that self awareness implementation specialist. I am a coach. I am also a mentor to mentees, and I help people bring transformative lifestyle changes, either through one on one counseling, coaching, or different platforms. My purpose in life is to help you become self aware by using different biblical principles and universal disciplines to transform your life into a desired result. Not just any result, but a desired result. And our purpose here is to save the black man, which is one of the most endangered species on the planet. And that is our goal by making you aware and giving you the different daily tools that you can add to your life. And it's very simple. Um, Things that you can do to change your outcome, because your outcome is going to be contingent upon what you take in, which is your intake, is going to determine the outcome. And with that being said, I am blessed to have my brother on with me, my co-facilitator, my brother, my mentor. Listen, my voice of reason. He wears a lot of different hats, but I'm gonna let him disclose those hats to you. Y'all welcome my brother, Mr. J Dunlap.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? Praying everyone is well. I'm Jay Dunlap, as my cohort spoke of. Um, my wife had to remind me of one of the major titles that I carry, and that's first as a husband, a father, a son. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a mentor. I'm a life coach. I write. I'm a poet. I have so many different hats, as my brother said. I'm the accountability mirror to a lot of my peers and friends. That's something that my
Yes.
brother gave the title of as being the mirror, and and mainly the man of God. So today I want to express how much I'm glad to be here. I've also was directed by my wife is our producer, and she gets on us. So I've also
All
was
hail the
told
queen.
to keep a smile on my face, because I know I could be stone faced coming from Newark, New Jersey. We got that look on our face that might tear you apart without even saying a word. So I want this to be a platform of love, happiness, peace, showing men that we can smile, we can relax. To be an example, today one of the examples we can start off with breathing. My brother spoke on it last night. He had an amazing webinar that gave a lot of insight on overthinking. So one of the things that he stated was breathing and taking a deep breath and letting it out. When I take deep breaths and let it out, I usually thank God, because we take for
Mm.
granted how much that means to have breath. That's all we have to live off of, it is the breath that we have in our lungs and in our body. So we take for granted of those breathing techniques that really relaxes us. That's really the first gift that God gave us, as He breathed
Mm. Yes.
into us. So if we could remember that, it could help us a lot of times with them overthinkers and them stressors. So
Yes.
that's my intro.
Yes. Gratitude does also control your attitude. When we are grateful for what we do have, then God can give us more. Um, Sometimes we take so much stuff for granted, but want to stay focused here today. We're gonna jump straight into the topic for this week. I call this is our second inception. And when I say that, Inception is kind of different than our actual episode because when we say inception, it actually means a starting point or institutional activity to begin something else. Um, we're incepting the previous perception that you have of yourself that society has put upon us. We're changing the whole narrative. And we're changing it by using the onion effect. If we keep peeling back layer upon layer, we will eventually get to the core. And it's at the core that we want to change. Um, Everything is about transformation when it comes to us. We want to transform your mindset. We want to transform how you think of yourself, how you think of your brother. Um, This week's topic is how the black man is portrayed in the black community as well as society. I'm going to hop on the society side and I'm going to let my brother, Dr. Dunlap, he's going to handle the community side. So, with the society side, we do understand that we have been stereotyped from way back when. Um, some of the stereotypes that African American have actually grew is like a natural consequence of both our scientific racism and our legal challenges to both our personhood and our citizenship. Currently, African Americans with stereotypes, which include such names as Mammy, Mandingo, Sapphire, Uncle Tom, and Watermelon. They have been informed by the legal and social status of Black people in America. And many of these stereotypes they were actually created during the height of the transatlantic slave trade, and they was used to help commodify black bodies to justify the business of slavery. We're gonna go back to the root of this thing first, and then we're gonna bring you up to date because until you understand the root cause of where this come from, then we know where we need to go to change the narrative thereof. For instance, an enslaved person was forced under violence to work from sunrise to sunset. um, how can we ever say that to be lazy? If we work from sunrise to sunset, you know what I'm saying? That cannot be described as lazy. But yet, laziness, as well as other characteristics of submissiveness, backwardness, luridness, treachery, and dishonesty, historically became stereotypes assigned to us from the beginning. So we have to go back to the beginning and erase that mentality that was characterized upon us as black men to change that narrative. Um, just want to share a little bit of history and information with you about how our entrepreneurship, even in the midst of oppression that we went through, has actually helped transform us. Um, Before and I think it was in the Jim Crow era, watermelon once symbolized self-sufficiency among African Americans. Now, following the emancipation, many Southern African Americans grew up and they sold watermelons, and it became a symbol of their freedom. And many Southern whites reacted to this self sufficiency by turning the fruit into a symbol of poverty. Did y'all catch that? Now, it was our symbol of freedom because this was something that we was doing as entrepreneurs. bringing something to the table for our family, our home, and our communities, and they changed it to a symbol of poverty. Watermelon came to be symbolized a feast for the, and they changed the whole perception of it, so it became a actual um, symbol to feast for unclean, lazy, and childlike, and they used that to shame the black watermelon merchants. Um, and they included it. If you remember, they had postcards, pictures, people stealing and fighting over watermelons and stuff. Just sitting in the streets eating watermelon. Um, and also, they always showed us that we don't use our hands to eat watermelons. And when you really eating some good watermelon, it can become messy. So without using tools, spoons or forks, or utensil, it made it impossible for us to actually eat that, which made a mess. And therefore, they branded that as being a public nuisance. And they have always connected our blackness with criminality, which has led to a lot of discriminatory policies and court rulings that have culminated in the increase of black male incarceration today. It is used to be our image, if so to say. Back then, we was known as brutes, something to be feared or reckoned with, or something, that was actually not um, as savage. But now in the 21st century, they have labeled us as thugs. Again, they have connected our um, criminality and black masculinity. Um, and that today brings us to how law enforcement agencies use deadly force on black males allegedly considered to be suspects are persons of interest. That's their key thing, and they often target our us as being the victims. They use things against us for as our criminal records, our physical appearance, or even our misperceived attributes to justify how they treat us and even how they unlawfully use us as death. But we as UNC are unifying the nomadic community. Our main goal and purpose is to transform the perception of black men and boys. And once you understand that, it all happens within the mind. Our brain is the power of perception. And that is our main goal here is to change your perception of who you are and how you look at yourself first. It must first happen within before it can be an external reality. So it's a lot of things that we got to dig up and get to the root cause of. And that's what we're here for. We're actually working on some curriculums and some webinars where we'll be able to help our fellow brother in accomplishing just that. Black men and boys, we actually face a lot with this country, with a lot of contradictions. Both the hopes and the fear are real. Both of them, hope and fear, they are real. But we can also reach every pinnacle of success that our country has to offer. Now, even though we also face with some obstacles which are unique to them as they work towards us in different aspects, depending upon what sector of life or the streets that you're from. Uh, but it all helps us to work towards success. That's my take on society and what we're actually aiming to do as black men helping black men. It is so prevalent and it is so needed in such a time as this. It is very much needed in a time like this. But that's my take on society with the aspects and the tools and resources to change that. Be looking out for this curriculum that's coming out. I think it's what is it, JITS? What's the definition of JITS, brother?
Oh, you caught me off
Joint
guard.
inte- Joint Integral Group Training. That's it. JITS.
Right. That's
We help
correct.
you to grow from jits to gents. Thank you, Lord, for that, for bringing
Yes,
back to
yes,
my
yes.
remembrance.
Brain
We actually working on a curriculum with that. When I say this is going to be a movement, we taking this thing worldwide, not just nationwide, but worldwide. This is something that we need for empowerment for us. With that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to my brother Jay so he can hit the community aspect of it. We're gonna bring this thing together. Jay, it's in your hands.
All right. I'm gonna give y'all a little something from Jersey. Bless it, beloved. That's my little cousin. That's what he say to me every time he see me. That type of love. Um, I'm glad to be on the topic of neighborhood. I have a lot of information on history as well, but neighborhoods is what I come from. That's me in and out. My lessons, my scars, my scrapes, my bruises come from being in the streets and being misunderstood as a young man and growing up and having to learn and coordinate through life without the lessons of having that male figure in our lives. And sadly, um, from from the history caused us to lose a lot of our father figures, male figures in the household. And just as he stated, that was something that was, coordinated. The system really coordinated that to take us out of the homes. When you separate a family, when you allow a man to have a child, and then you take that man and you ship him over here next door to another plantation, and he has to impregnate a woman over there just to breed a big strong buck to work, that continues that cycle. That's that generational
Mhm.
curse. But we are here at UNC to break them curses, to break that generational curse that has
Yes.
been placed in our communities for decades. So this is what we coming with. A man figure in the neighborhood is extinct. We're either addicted, or people don't realize the addiction of being a drug dealer. The addiction to money drives you in a way that now you're just as worse as your habit is. You have habits. You're an addict as well. So now you're coming from a place where you don't take care of your family because you're so eager, and you don't understand the process because a father figure has been taken out of the community. We're seen as extinct. We're not seen in a family or a household. Most of the time, when you go into the school systems, you see women. Most of the time, when the parent comes in for parent conference, you see the mom. You don't see that man figure. Me, as a representative of a positive vessel, I, I work on imitating that. I work on representing my father. My father is the ultimate creator. We are responsible to represent him in a character that represents power, strength, understanding, love, patience, kindness. All these things are something that we are instilled with, but we ignore them because of the societal pressures that man is put through. When I started off, I introduced myself with several titles that are just what they are. They're titles. But God doesn't see me as a title. God sees me as his
Mhm.
child. And we really have to start looking at our kids not by their actions, but by who we pour into them to be, who we let them understand they was created from. This generation has lost the understanding of who God is even is in their life. I grew up, I can't say but majority of the generations where we come from grew up with grandma going to church, aunties go to church. Even though it may
Right.
not have been your realm of that to go, you still understood going to church was something connected to God. You knew even in them
Yes.
streets, even in them bad areas that you had to crawl out of, you still knew grandma said pray. I recall prime example as a juvenile being in a holding cell with maybe 10 other guys as a juvenile, my first time, and all I heard was my grandmother say, pray. How that impacted my life throughout my life, through everything I've been through. It didn't cover me and protect me from what I had to go through to be the man that I
Right.
am. So I had to take
Right.
these routes to become who I want to represent. And that's the problem in the communities. So many of us don't know. We're
Mm.
faulted not being taught. We're faulted by not knowing. And that's because that was the project. That was the plan. That was the Willie Lynch project, is to make sure that we don't connect strong enough to unify each other as men, to cover and protect each other as men, so we can be the dominant force in our community, so we can be strong
Absolutely.
within our households. When a young man looks at you, he sees a man that stands and represents power, that's going to protect him, even if he's not your child. We have
Right.
gotten to a place that we are not protecting our youth. We are not protecting our brothers. We're not protecting our sisters. Do we understand that there are kidnappings going on amongst our community with men, women, children? It's not just ladies getting abducted. They're abducting everyone. And they come to our communities because they know that we are the ones that's lost. They know that we are the ones that they're not going to look for. But we have to look for each other. We have to come and find you. We have to protect you. As a father figure, as a man in the community, my job is to be there, show up. That's one of my biggest mottos. A kid doesn't understand you're not at my baseball game. You're not at my
Right.
class play. You're not checking my homework. You're not taught. They don't understand that. And I just want to say that men are having so many. We try to hold up to all these different titles that we gravitate to. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. All these things that really takes us away from being who we were created to be. A man of God, speaking life,
Right.
pouring
Yes,
into one another,
exactly.
rejuvenating the little boy that was left unprotected. I explained to people that my mother was my goat. My mother was the greatest of all times in my life, because even though we had difficulties, even though she couldn't understand how to how to deal with, I can't say raise because she raised me to be accountable. Certain words I wasn't allowed to say, but because was an excuse in her book. You're going to be a man that gives no excuses for your actions and your behavior. So when you're raised like that, I am the one that's going to be held accountable, because I got to hold others accountable. So that means I have to change up how I do things. Drinking, I had to stop it because I want to be something that a young man can see, and he's not like everyone else. I have to be a person where smoking weed or taking this and doing that. I have to be that vessel. I have to bring that image back to the community. And that
Right.
image of
Right.
a strong man, we had that at some point. Everybody wasn't doing this and doing that. You had a lot of hardworking men that went to work, came home, took care of families. We have gotten so lustful. Society has put us in a place that
Yes,
this
sir.
is the area that we thrive in as a man. Because I have several different women, that makes me a man. I'm cool. No, in reality, that makes you weak, because your insecurities is what is promoting your lustfulness. If you're
Right.
not, if you're more secure in who you are, you're less lustful to have so many different women into your life. And we're giving that to our young. That's a rite of passage. We don't even realize when a kid comes and say, Dad, yo, you having sex? Yeah, man. We don't explain to them how dangerous it is, because you're creating soul ties. You're
Yes.
creating baggage. at an age where you don't even understand who you are, what's your purpose, where you're going. So now when it's time to go off to college, you don't even want to leave her.
Right,
You
right.
take a job at McDonald's because you lost all interest in becoming something. And that's something that we lose as fathers, not being there, not
And
having that.
brethren, that brings us to another part. I just want to piggyback right there where you're at. And the reason why we have those issues because of different areas that we as men are not healed in. So we have to not only deal with the stigma, but we have to actually learn how to heal from those spaces and places so that we don't keep creating that for our younger generation.
Because we
And
were never protected. That's because we never was protected. We always was built and taught to be protectors, but never having that covering to protect us because that connection with God was extinct. You know, it was
that's
taken
good,
away
bro.
from us to the point.
That's good.
When we came to this country, we had our own spirituality. We were able to chant and worship. Then when we was brought here, we was given something to control us. And God was
Right.
never supposed to be a controlling mechanism for the masses. That's why he gave us free will. Free will gives us that right to choose him, not be forced. Choosing God is different than someone giving you a religion that was never meant for your people. We lost all that. We had a true relationship with God. We talked to God. We meditated to the point where we heard the voice telling us which direction to go when we're running and trying to escape slavery. So when you can go that deep to the point where it guided us on a path to free millions of slaves, how do you come and take on something that has taken us away from that relationship? We have a more stronger relationship with the church and the pastor than we do with God.
Okay,
That's
okay,
what's so
okay,
evil.
bruh, bruh. That's good. Let me put some brakes on that, cause that's a whole nother inception by itself. That's a
Yeah,
whole nother show by itself that we can
yeah,
really gonna, as black men, we're going to learn how to dig deeper right there where you at.
yeah,
You just
yeah,
hit the dirt. We got to dig that thing up. That's
yeah,
something that
yeah,
we're going to be talking about in listen, we can go a whole nother hour on that
yeah,
part by itself.
yes,
By
yes,
itself. But
yes,
man, listen, I am I am so ecstatic to the platform that God has given us to not only teach but to share our life experiences to help our brother man be transformed into the correct perception and identity of who we are. We stand on the African American male theory. That theory posits that African American boys and men are born with the innate desire for self-determination and with the unlimited capacity for morality and intelligence. It also helps us embrace the resilience that opposes with deficit paradigms, thinking, and practices that we are chosen.
yes, sir, yes,
We
sir,
are we are God's chosen.
yes, yes, yes,
And I don't want people to get it misconstrued. We are talking empowerment. And any young man, whether they black, white, Mexicans, Spanish, it don't matter your color, creed, or your nationality. We're here to assist you. But our main objective is the black man. That's our number one priority. We're helping all men. But our main objective is to empower the black men because we are the endangered species. With that being said, bro, do you have any lasting words that you want to say before we close out this session? Listen,
yeah,
this thing is getting deep. It's getting deep.
yeah, yes, yes. I wonder. read a letter to my son. You know, and this is
Okay.
to all sons. This is as an uncle or a father to
Come on,
my
bro.
son. As a father, the title comes with responsibility plus a commitment to show up in your life, standing as a man of God, representing loyalty, honesty, and love, speaking to you with knowledge, but listening to you with compassion. As your father, I will be dedicated to teach you righteousness governed by God's guidance. I survived my struggles through my prayers. God covers me to allow me to cover you. I'm led by humility, a modest soldier, while humbling my flesh to allow God's direction for my spirit. As a man is created in the image of our Father, God's invested into our souls through the birth of life. The molding of a son's integrity begins with that bond that's formed between father and son. That relationship breathes life
Mm.
into the foundation of manhood. He has to start with manhood and that breath. You're not going to reach that level of security and compassion and love without having that father breathe that security into you to give you that confidence, that power.
Yeah.
That's
Listen,
that, brother.
that's a mic drop right there. That's a mic drop
Yes,
right there. We don't need to add none or take none. That's a mic drop right there. And I'm telling y'all, this thing is growing. You got to reach out to your fellow brother. Let them know that what we're doing here at UNC, that we're changing the narrative of what the black man is
yes,
that
yes,
society has put upon us. We
yes,
changing mindsets. Do you hear me? We're changing
yes,
mindsets. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming in today, for watching this. Remember to like, share, and follow us as we go through this path called life. And we thank you all
yes.
for joining us.
Thank you,
Until the
thank you,
next
thank
time, you all be blessed.
you. Be blessed, be blessed. Love.